In Ontario, there are 12 million scrap tires produced every year. What used to happen was those tires got illegally dumped, got burned, ended up in landfills or in piles around the province.
Many people remember the Hagersville tire fire. Thousands of old tires lying in a scrapyard caught fire. It burned for 17 days, forcing people to evacuate their homes.
People all think right away in Ontario, they think of Hagersville. That was the big tire fire. That was 1989. We are light years away from that right now, and the future is bright.
Andrew Horstman is working very hard to make sure that never happens again.
How many of those are you able to salvage for reuse?
The government of Ontario approached the tire manufacturers and said, how can we work together to make sure Ontario's scrap tires get recycled instead of getting dumped or burned?
Andrew heads up a program called Ontario Tire Stewardship. He wants to make sure every tire in this province finds a second life.
Today we're at one of our collector locations, ADCO Auto Parts. They're an auto recycler. There are 4,000 to 5,000 tires that come through here every year.
Owner Don Fraser would love to reuse every tire, but some just aren't safe enough to go back into circulation.
The minimum rubber that we'll actually resell here is about 4 millimeter tread depth.
It used to be costly for Don to get rid of unwanted tires.
A lot of times what would happen with those tires is they would go into the U.S. for incineration, and the reusage in Ontario was very low. We generally pay about $1.25 a tire to have them removed. Now what we've got is we receive 88 cents a tire to put them into the system.
Instead of trucking his scrap tires to the States, he's sending them to a recycler close to home. Here at this recycling plant, they get between 6,000 and 7,000 tires on busy days.
So the tires travel up this belt and fall into this hopper, where these rotating knives chew it up into chunks of rubber that are roughly 4 by 4 inches in diameter.
Tires are chopped up 3 times to make smaller and smaller chunks.
As you know, tires are made to be indestructible, and it's very difficult to tear a tire apart.
They don't want to tear the tires. That causes heat to build up and could start a fire. Instead, they want to cut them. So these blades need to be very sharp.
Making crumb rubber, grinding them down into the fine particles, is physically demanding. Making a consistent product that meets the same spec every single time is technically demanding.
About 15% of a passenger car tire is high-quality steel. So during the recycling process, that metal gets separated out.
The magnet sucks up the steel from the rubber and is put into a bin. Then it's carried to another machine such as this, the steel baler, and then we produce roughly 35-pound bales.
These are sent off to steel mills to be melted down. In the end, all the tires end up as crumbs of rubber, which are put into 200-pound bags and shipped off to the users.
So we found that that's a #1 concern of the manufacturers that we deal with, is they want to be sure that there's no fiber, no steel, and it's got to be clean.
And your new line's letting you get that quality.
Absolutely.
All this crumb rubber ends up in all sorts of industrial and household products. A lot of them you can find in Andrew's home. It's in the mulch around his plants, in the tiles on his roof and his patio. He's even got it in his gym.
Initially, the problem in Ontario was that we only had enough recycling capacity to manage about 60% of the tires that are produced every year.
But that's no longer the case. Thanks to Andrew's heavy lifting to get tires out of scrapyards and into consumer products, Ontario will soon be able to recycle 100% of its tires. In fact, there might be a day, not too far off, when other provinces or even countries ship their scrap tires here to be recycled. And that would make Andrew very happy.
My dream is that at some point I am out of a job. These products are so valuable that scrap tires are no longer a waste. They're a raw material that have value. That industry can stand on its own.